Save the Semantics, episode 44. It is October 19th, 2018. My name is Myro. This is the podcast. Why do I sound so apprehensive? You know why? Because I'm going to start talking about TikTok. And I've kind of put it off for a little while. But I think right now, in its prime, when it's incredibly popular, I'm going to try to jump on that bandwagon, you know? Everyone's talked about it. Everyone on YouTube, commentary channels, all that have talked about this app. I've just kind of avoided it because I don't really know what there is to talk about necessarily. I think that most of the things that have been talked about are just, it's already been pretty widely covered for the most part. You could talk about sort of the pedophilia aspect of it, and all this other stuff, right? So I was bored today. I had a little free time on my hands. I just looked up TikTok app. Scroll down just a little bit, and if you scroll down maybe about halfway down the first page, this is what you get. Under videos, there's things that say "Take It Off Challenge," and it shows scantily clad women, taking off their potential clothes. I'm not gonna click on it. By the way, I'm not gonna click on it. 4.1 million views. And it's the same thing for the other one too. 4.1 million views. It's insanity. It's crazy. And from what I understand, it's a Chinese a Chinese company owns it. They bought the Musical.ly app, which I thought it was kind of a creepy thing in itself, just being like I don't know, just being like an aggregate for a lot of young people to go on. And there's always just like the the creepy pedophilia aspect to it. There's this article that talks about it right here, talking about how a 14-year-old girl who thought she was talking with another 14-year-old boy turns out to be 28 years old. That kind of thing. And that got me kind of wondering. Like I always try to make it somewhat of like a comparative thing. I always try to compare this with something else from my own experience, which is not like, I just don't know if there's anything like this that's ever existed. Of course, there was Vine, I guess, in high school. I think a little bit in middle school too. Early middle school and kind of mid to late high school. That doesn't make sense. I'm getting my timeline wrong. Anyways, just like back in like high school, I just remember Vine being a thing. So I guess there's potential for that too, but it's different. I think there's just something different about this app that I can't really put my finger on. I'm sure there's plenty of articles and plenty of videos discussing this, and I've seen a few of those videos already. Though they more or less just talk about the ones that I've seen. They've talked about more of the characters that are on TikTok, just the weird, the good girls. No, good boys gone bad. That whole thing, we've seen that meme. Just the weird kind of crowd that it brings in. I'm not saying that you can't do whatever the hell that is. I'm just saying that it's incredibly weird. But I think there's just something weird about it. I don't know if it's because it's not from an American manufacturer or an American app producer. But I don't know. It just feels it's foreign, and it's just uncomfortable. There's I just don't understand. I don't. It's hard to really see the appeal of it. Because based off what I've seen, and I think this goes with like Musical.ly as well beforehand, where there was a lot of younger kids like just it's the whole lip syncing thing, and I know that they do that still, but it like goes beyond lip syncing music. They also lip sync scenes. I feel like I'm so far behind just talking about this because I'm sure this has already been covered as well, but it's just such a weird thing that is just sort of transpired, you know? I'm talking from a very naive perspective, by the way, from someone who doesn't really understand how app development works and whatnot, you know? But yeah, that's just something that I kind of wanted to comment on. I'm not necessarily jumping on anything, but it is something that's, I think it's worth like discussing for sure. Um, I don't, it's just such, it's so easily like accessible too, because, you know, every kid has like an iPhone nowadays, or just has a smartphone that they can readily use, and they can download the app. Um, Maybe because I was just less involved with like app with like with a smart device, because I didn't get mine until like sometime in middle school, late middle school. So maybe that's why I wasn't really exposed to that kind of thing. But I think it's just so easy for kids to use this shit now, you know? And there's gonna be the crowd of people, and I'm not trying to be part of that crowd that says that, oh, why don't you kids go outside more, that kind of thing. But um yeah, I don't know. Maybe they should just go outside more instead of making weird ass, just kind of uncomfortable videos of either them like dancing or, you know, being suggestive. You know, it's just kind of it's just uncomfortable. That's the thing. And I genuinely don't see the appeal of it, you know? I think I'm trying to think of why it might be appealing to kids and even adults for some reason. Maybe it's just a way for them to express themselves, and it's like easy to use, you know? Because there's like these younger kids that can use it like that, you know? So if it's like easy for them to use, then I don't know. There's also the thing that's like, maybe this is a little hypocritical because I'm kind of doing the same thing, but it doesn't. I'm not saying that it doesn't necessarily take effort to like use it, but it doesn't really require that much, I guess, attention to detail and whatnot. Because if you fuck up, whatever, right? I don't know. I'm just I look. Basically, I just Googled it and then found some stuff on it, and then I decided to talk about the thing. So yeah, that's what I'm working with right now. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure if there's really. I think just being aware of it in a sense, you know, this podcast is just going to become me like pretending to be like a parent and putting parental controls on shit that I don't really know that much about. Usually, what it boils down to is me being like, look, just censor the hell out of everything and don't let your kids do anything, kind of thing. And then you become just a sheltered, kind of you know, socially anxious individual. I don't know. Anyways, that's sort of something that I kind of wanted to briefly touch upon. Yeah, and other than that, I don't really necessarily have anything to really touch upon with this app. I think there's plenty of things just covering it because it's such a big thing, you know. You know what? Let's just do some research right now. Let's just do a little bit of research right now. So TikTok is owned by this Chinese company, Chinese internet tech company called ByteDance. I'm gonna go onto their official website right now, and let's see what they got going on. So their homepage, it says, "We are discovering the future of content discovery and creation. ByteDance's content platforms enable people to enjoy content powered by AI technology." So let's see what they have. I'm clicking history of milestones. They got a pretty like interactive like timeline thing going on here. Um, Here it is. November 2017, ByteDance acquired Musically, a global video community that celebrates creativity through a combination of short videos and music. Now, whether that's creative or not, that's highly debatable. I'm kind of on the side that it's just very bare bones and doesn't really require that much attention to detail, you know? Um, they have like, this is such a bare bones like website. They have like I get it, this is sort of the approach that a lot of like tech companies go on, that they're just bare bones minimum. You know, Apple does it with their just like an Apple and stuff. but it's just kind of crazy that it's just how it does, that's how it does. But the website, there's like nothing on here. It's just an overview. You got this history of milestones. You got the CEO. It's just one dude. There's literally just one dude here. He's the face of the company right here. Yiming Zhang, founder and CEO of ByteDance, lifelong entrepreneur prior to ByteDance. Yiming founded several ventures, including a real estate search patrol. Blah 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 blah. He's probably a billionaire. He's got plenty of money, and I'm sure some of his kids go to my university. um, yeah, so that's that. It's just crazy. Like, is there? It's not crazy. I'm just blurting out statements, whatever that comes to mind. But they say AI technology, which is kind of weird. Um, if you're if we're still talking about TikTok, it's just kind of an interesting angle. This is what it says on their AI page. It says AI tech is at the heart of all of ByteDance's content platforms. We build intelligent machines that are capable of understanding and analyzing texts, images, and videos using natural language and processing, computer vision, blah 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 blah. So I think just based on that, you can kind of get why it's so easy to use TikTok, because they got all this brand new technology going on where it's just like, okay, you want to play a song and that you're gonna lip sync to, or if you want to do like a weird stupid ass skit thing by stealing other people's content. I'm going down the cynical route right now. But if you are in the mood and if you want to create a skit by lip syncing to like Seinfeld or something like that, you load up the clip and you just like you like slow it down to a point where you can like lip sync to it, I guess. It's so weird. I don't, it's just kind of, there's sort of like the uncanniness to it, mainly because I think it does deal with like AI, and like a lot of it you aren't even really doing anything. It's just the app does most of the work for you. So maybe that's why it's just there's sort of that uncomfortable aspect to it, along with all the other issues that it deals with, pedophilia and privacy and whatnot. So, if I wanted to get a job at ByteDance, let's see what they got here. So they offer, what do they offer? Their website is just so bare bones. This is like a startup company's website. It's crazy. There's just nothing on here, I feel like, It's just it's kind of weird. So they have offices and teams West Coast, East Coast, Brazil, Europe, all that, all around the world, a bunch of sort of main areas. But it's just kind of crazy. It's not crazy. Stop using just random adjectives, but it's just interesting that their website, the way they present themselves, is like very simplistic, and they clearly have just everything down to just like understandable bite-sized thing. Even their like even what they say on the website is just not even that. Um, it's not even that in depth. They don't really delve into anything specific. They just say like, this is what we have. We use AI and we create apps, and that's basically what how they present themselves. It's crazy how big this app's become, though. I think based on from what I hear, like they put a ton of money into the company and into like the app itself, which kind of explains why you see it everywhere. Every time I just go on Snapchat, I always get just like a fucking TikTok app, and it's just weird. It's every time I'm just going through someone's story, there's always just a TikTok app. Every single time. It's crazy. It's just sort of everywhere at this point. I don't really know what I get what their advertising is just putting it everywhere. YouTube, every major social media website, you're gonna see like a TikTok app. Um, and I don't know. I don't know what that really says or what that means, but if this Chinese company is just able to create this app or buy a previously popular app and then market it to like just the nth degree, to the point where everyone knows about it, and it's just taken over everyone's lives, including like YouTubers, at least because they have something to talk about. It's taken over the lives of kids because that's something for them to do when they're bored. Um, it's a little I'm a little kind of apprehensive to it. I've mentioned before just talking about, I guess, apps and social media in general, how there's sort of that there's the level of how much that app sort of approaches on your own life, and how much time it takes away from it, I guess. I don't really know where I'm going with this as always, but I think it's interesting to think about how much influence a tech company can have, right? How much influence they have in our culture, and just in general, how we communicate and stuff like that, and how just this one, albeit an incredibly wealthy company, is able to just create so much influence, and both influence and controversy, just by promoting the app so heavily, to the point where there's like, there's issues of, privacy, where there are kids that aren't as well in tune with how technology works are being taken advantage of by older people, who have ulterior motives, that kind of thing. There's just like this butterfly effect of what a company does, and then it becomes like a question, like how do you like regulate that, right? And as much as I want to be, I guess, as like sort of as much as I want to be positive, not positive, yeah, positive in a sense, or more like, uh, what's the word? Optimistic. That's the one. As much as I'm like, I want to be like optimistic and saying like, look, there's plenty of like resources where you can educate yourself on how these kinds of companies could take advantage of something, and how they can breach your privacy and all that. There's Facebook and all these other companies that have had these issues. It's just it might not be enough just notifying the public about it, right? Because there's always going to be some kids, and the kids are going to be like the largest audience with these kinds of things, and I don't know what like the best way to approach it is. I guess I'd say like, it would have to be like education on like a massive level. It's crazy though. I think I don't remember it when I was younger they really if they really did this, but I'm talking about sort of teaching about tech, yeah, keeping your own identity safe, right, from just other people. I've never really learned about that in school, and I think nowadays that's just like important, just as important as every other part of your elementary education. I think this is something that should be taught at a pretty young age, because they're exposed at such a young age, and all these like, I'm not I'm constantly shitting on parents of like the newer generation or whatever, but like I feel like they don't teach their kids how to be careful being online, and being like just being aware of these websites, because they're just like, maybe more like lax parents are like, they should be allowed to express their creative freedom. And I'm completely generalizing and stereotyping the hell out of that type of parent, but I'm just saying that there are parents like that, and it leads to issues where kids get taken advantage of online through the app and stuff like that. So I think, I don't know if this is something that can really happen, because maybe it's not of the forefront of importance, and there's of course like there's mental health advocacy, through like counseling or therapy and stuff like that, and that's important as well. But I think this is, in a way, just as important. And you could talk about how a lot of mental health issues are kind of linked to the way you are, your relationship with technology and social media and stuff like that. So I think being aware of what these apps are and what these companies are too, I think you should just do a little bit of research like I did just now. Get to know what your kid is doing. Once again, this has been the 20-year-old giving advice to adults podcast. Look, I'm constantly like contradicting myself. I'm just saying, if gonna become I feel like a much larger issue where these giant ass tech companies are just gonna be so they're just gonna be engulfing our lives. They're just such staples of our lives. And I've talked about it before. Just I've tried to kind of move away from constantly using apps like Instagram and Snapchat and stuff like that. I don't even use Facebook anymore. I only use it really just to, if I need to potentially keep in contact with friends and stuff like that. But I've just sort of moved away from it because I feel like there's a potential where those social media platforms could just like consume my life, and then I won't get anything done. And I still sometimes get wrapped into that, right? And I think you just have to really just teach yourself, I guess, to a sense, about what you're being exposed to, and having, just taking care of your identity and privacy and all that. And as I'm saying that, I'm like putting myself online. So, I mean, I guess I still have to be. I still have things that I have to learn too. I still have to take caution when I do things, even such as this, right? So there's potential where my information could get leaked, and I probably need to be careful about that kind of thing too. So that's just my little thing I wanted to talk about today. I don't really have anything else that I really wanted to speak on, but that should be it for today. You've been listening to Save the Semantics, signing off.